Back in the day, there used to be limited number of television channels that aired a decent number of TV programs, movies, and so on. People generally enjoyed those channels. They were pretty much satisfied with the limited number of choices available to them. As a result of this, there were fewer complaints. Do we experience the same scenario today as well? No, we don't. We have a wide range of TV channels to select from. In addition to this, we also have internet streaming services that can play any web series or movies or documentaries and much more on demand. So many options to choose from. And at such times, we often encounter situations where it's very difficult to find a desired show. In fact, it's more likely to be a scene of confusion. And chances are pretty high that we may easily get annoyed by too many options, right? But why are we discussing this? Let's get to know it in this Qpisode. This situation can be better understood with the phenomenon called the paradox of choice. What do we mean by it? It's a situation where we are presented with too many options for a particular thing that generally leads to confusion and stressful decision-making. Further, it makes the individual unhappy and dissatisfied with their own decisions. Sounds unreal, right? Well, let's speculate and check. Imagine we want to buy a good phone. We know that the market is flooded with n number of phones. Choosing one phone out of the many options available is really a mammoth task. So generally, with the pre-decided budget, we go through tech reviews and check all the pros and cons. After spending a lot of time and energy, we decide to buy a phone which we feel is a perfect one for us. But sometimes, within a few days, a new phone enters the market with better specifications and for the same price. Also, the price of the phone that we'd purchased would have gone down a bit. That's where we may feel regretful, dissatisfied, and of course, unhappy with our decision. But do we come across these situations often? To our surprise, we experience these situations almost every day in our life. Such situations are explained well by a psychologist, Barry Schwartz, in his book, The Paradox of Choice. Why more is less. According to him, in context to paradox of choice, there are basically two types of people: maximizers and satisficers. What do they mean? Let's understand both, beginning with maximizers. Maximizers are the ones who spend a lot of time and energy in researching for the best choice from the available options to make a decision. After making the decision, it generally puts the person in self-doubt of whether they really made the best choice or not. It's observed that they are more likely to be unhappy and dissatisfied with their decisions. The example we saw earlier of choosing a smartphone from too many options and also feeling dissatisfied about the same after the purchase can explain maximizers. Now, can you guess who satisficers are? They are the ones who look for the basic needs in the options available to make a decision. They hardly spend their time and energy on researching. And hence, once the decision is made, they do not bother much about the outcome. They are considered to be more happy and satisfied with their decisions. To understand this better, let's take the same example of buying a smartphone. Now, as opposed to a maximizer who wants to weigh all the options and select the best smartphone, a satisficer would just be concerned about his needs. For instance, he may want to have a phone with a good camera. So he will just be focused on that and would settle for a smartphone with good enough camera. He wouldn't bother too much about other features. Whereas a maximizer in this would not only look for a good camera, but also a good price, RAM, operating system, display, and other features just to make sure that it's the best smartphone he's buying. Since satisficers invest very little time and energy while going for a product, generally they're more satisfied and do not regret their decisions. Alright, So does that mean a person can only be a maximizer or a satisficer? Not really. In general, a person can show a bit of both. Now, what does that mean? In some situations, we behave like maximizers, while in others as satisficers. For example, for someone, watching a movie may not be a big deal. He may just watch it without putting much of a thought. But for the same person, selecting a dish at a restaurant could be a task. He may be very particular about food and might invest a lot of time choosing a dish from a plethora of options. He wouldn't want to make a wrong choice with the food and would want to have something exceptional. That means we are literally unpredictable and cannot be specific. It all depends upon the area of interest of a person. Interesting, isn't it? In which category do you fall in? Let us know in the comments section. Now, looking at the wide range of options available around us, it seems impossible to avoid the paradox of choice. So why do I say so? That's because we're living in a highly competitive market. For each product you're looking for, there are numerous options available in the market competing with each other to grab your attention and drive you towards them. This makes you fall for the paradox of choice. In an attempt to select the best, when provided with too many options, we generally end up getting confused and make decisions that often become the reason of our unhappiness and dissatisfaction. So can we say that less options always lead to happiness, satisfaction, and no regret? I think that's a debatable question, and we leave this Q box for you to explore. Share your thoughts in the comment section below. To be part of our massive learning community, do subscribe to our channel. Happy learning!